G'day there guys, wondering if the real Slim Shady will ever stand up? Back at it again with another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you love this content like I love you, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, a like on the video, maybe subscribe, and enjoy the content. Posted by user, Made Her Repay the Dress, titled, Am I the a-hole for quote-unquote ruining my kid's life after she ruined a dress? X 31 and I, male 32, had a C, F 16, way too young. We're friendly co-parents. One big rule we share is if our daughter breaks something, that she pays for it. Now, Sis, 27, and I are the only grandkids. Aunt never married. Instead, she worked with Grandma and Grandpa at their seamstress store and took it over when they retired. Sis's girlfriend, 29, proposed last year. Grandpa offered to make future sister-in-law a custom suit, which she was over the moon about. Grandma had me ask Sis what her dream dress was and record the conversation. Sis, thinking it was just between us, told me in great detail what her dream dress was, though said it was way too expensive, so she would get something much cheaper. Well, a few months later, Grandma surprised Sis with her dream wedding dress. It fit perfectly and everyone cried. Sadly, Grandma recently passed away, which hit us all hard. Sis was devastated but decided that the dress meant Grandma would still be there with us at the wedding. The issue comes in with C. She's very large, much larger than Sis. 3 days ago, we decided to go visit Sis and see how she was doing. It was great, but then C asked if she could try on the dress. Sis politely said no, and C made a face but dropped it. Later, we decided to go grab dinner. Sis and I went to pick up our orders, but C decided to stay and play with Sis's dog. We got back, and the dress was destroyed. C had apparently tried to get it on, popping some seams, and got stuck. Instead of waiting for help, she cut her way out. The dress was hacked to bits. Sis was devastated and asked us to leave. I grounded C and called Aunt with some pictures, asking if it could be saved. She said there was no way. She said she'd make a new one, but it wasn't the same. Then she dropped the bomb on me. Grandma had hand-sewed most of the dress, used super expensive fabric, and put almost 500 hours in making that dress, since it was the only family wedding that we would have. In total, the dress cost $12,000, give or take. C has about $15,000 saved from various jobs, as well as winning writing competitions. This was supposed to help her in college. I took her to the bank and set in motion transferring all the funds, since as her parent, I still have control over it. $12,000 to Aunt to pay for the new dress, $3,000 to my sister's wedding as an emotional distress tax. I explained exactly why this was happening to C, but she sobbed the entire time, asking what was she supposed to do for college and saying it wasn't her fault. I told her she could get a job if she didn't get a scholarship and it was her fault for trying on the dress after she'd been told no, and for not waiting until we got back. A few popped seams could have been fixed, hacking the dress to pieces couldn't. C told X, and while she agrees C was in the wrong after the full story, said I shouldn't have ruined her future for a free dress. I reminded her of our rule, and she still thinks I'm wrong. So, am I the a-hole here? Edit, since people are mentioning they don't understand the $3,000, that was to make up to my sister that C destroyed the last gift our dead grandma ever gave her. I consider that part of the price of destroying the dress, since even if Aunt remakes it, it's lost a great deal of its sentimental value. I pointed out how young we had her because I wanted to explain how a 31-year-old has a 16-year-old kid. I do not resent having her, she's the best thing I've ever done. I also brought up C's size because Sis has Crohn's disease and thus is very tiny. The dress was made for her size, and C is much larger than Sis. I love C as she is, but just holding the dress up, it was clear it wouldn't fit. The character count is very limiting. Edit 2, to clarify, the money was C's have fun at college money, not her college fund. My ex and I are paying for whatever scholarships don't. When she was asking what she would do for college, she was asking what would she do for fun and to buy things that we didn't pay for. Again, the character count is very limiting, so I had to cut details to post. Edit 3. So I got off the phone with my ex about 20 minutes ago. At some of your suggestions, I sent her the pictures and she freaked. She apparently didn't believe me when I said it had been hacked apart and believed it was just a few torn seams. She was pretty much on my side after. She told me that she spent the day badgering our daughter, asking her why she did what she did. And finally, C cracked and said she was mad that grandma wasn't alive to make her a dress and that it was unfair my sister got a free beautiful dress as a reminder when my daughter got nothing, despite the many things she was given after the funeral. She tried it on, took it off when the seams popped, and then in anger hacked it apart. If she couldn't have a dress from grandma, no one could. Her own words. Honestly, knowing she did it on purpose has just made things worse. The fact that she could be so cruel, that's not the daughter we tried to raise. She will be going to therapy, whether that's in person when local therapists start taking new clients again, or one of those apps people have mentioned. We need to talk about it more. Her punishment stands as is though, we're going to see how therapy goes. As for all the seamsters who have reached out, please know I'm touched by your kindness. I really am. My aunt is going to see if she can incorporate at least some of the fabric from the old dress into the new one. Maybe at least try to save the beading. But if there's anything usable, I'll reach out. I so appreciate all of your offers. You're incredibly kind people. I have yet to talk to my sister, but I have talked to her fiancé. Sis isn't doing well. The dress has caused a Crohn's flare-up, so she's stuck in bed sick. Which, honestly, I'm not surprised. Crohn's is often triggered by stressful events, so I was expecting it. I told fiancé about Aunt making a new dress, and she'd promised she'd take the remains over to Aunt on Monday. She's thankful for us addressing the issue, but has asked for some space from Sis so she can recover and heal, and hopefully not end up in the hospital. As for the 3K, we'll see what my sister's state is in a few days. If she has to go to the hospital, then the money is forfeit for her medical bills, since it was C's selfishness that put her there, so she can pay for it. If Sis does not end up in the hospital, then I'll consider giving it back after she's gone to therapy for a few months, if she's accepted what she did was wrong and worked to make amends. We'll see what the next few months bring. I guess I don't even need to make a judgment call after that. It's pretty obvious, who the a-hole is in this situation. I'll read a few comments anyway, just to give some perspective from readers. Not the a-hole. Absolutely not. She ruined her own future. In my mind, that dress wasn't $12,000 or even $15,000. It was priceless. It could have and should have been passed down for generations. I'm horrified your daughter did such a thing. Most kids don't go to college with savings, so she's just going to have to tough it out. I hope she looks back one day and realizes the payment she made was severely short. I am so sorry this has happened to your family. Agree. It sounds like OP's family are just gracious, generous people. I wouldn't blame any bride who demands compensation for a ruined wedding dress, let alone one that was custom made by a now deceased family member. OP, you didn't ruin your daughter's future. $15,000 doesn't go that far in college. She's young, and she'll make that money back again. Edit, I just reread this. It also sounds like your daughter doesn't think she did anything wrong. My sister didn't even demand anything. This is the rule, and I decided to uphold it. She just thought the dress was a loss. Hey OP, since the original dress was hacked but meant so much, hit me up. I've been sewing for over a decade, 13 years, and I would love to turn some of the shreds into something lovely for your sister. She may not have the dress, but she could have something like a hairpiece made from it. Edit, oh my, thanks so much for the kind words and Reddit awards. I can see OP did read it from his update. And honestly, something small and symbolic like a hairpiece would really go a long way into at least easing that burden on the wronged sister. I feel really bad for her. Posted by user InkedDude1244, titled, Am I the a-hole for getting a tattoo? So I, 28 male, am currently living with my girlfriend, 26 female, of 2 years because of quarantine. And after the restrictions were lifted in the area, we decided to keep living together for a bit longer. I'm a personal trainer and a fitness model, and my girlfriend is a model. So, because of the lockdown, my girlfriend started following this weird vegan girl. She does everything this chick does, from her diet and workouts, which was fine, to not shaving. I didn't like it, but I decided to just stay silent about it. I'm a pretty vain guy, and I like to keep myself as good looking as possible. I'm shallow, I know. So before you come at me, yes, I also shave all over my body. I was fine with it until she initiated sex. I told her as nicely as possible that I didn't find her body hair attractive, so I passed on that. Ooh. She started yelling at me with the whole "my body, my rules," and I told her I didn't force her to shave, I just didn't like the idea of it. I never said anything bad about it, by the way, just that it wasn't my cup of tea. I then said if that rule applies to her, it applies to me too, and I slept on the couch. The next day, I decided to go to my best friend's house, whose roommate was a tattoo artist. Lockdown restrictions are lifted. I've been talking about getting a tattoo on my chest for the longest time, but my girlfriend always discouraged me and told me I'm not allowed to get one. I already have a half sleeve, by the way. I got a tattoo of a lion, and I absolutely love it. So I came home, and my girlfriend saw it and went ballistic. She yelled at me for being an a-hole and cried. She asked me, "How could you do this to me?" And then I told her, "My body, my rules." She stormed out and locked herself in the room and hasn't come out since. I'm on the couch right now and thinking about if I took it too far. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? That's a tough one. Like, obviously, you know you're an a-hole for that action, and I'm sure she feels like an a-hole for suddenly pushing those boundaries on you and you reacting the way you did. So my judgment here lies in everyone sucks here, and I'm questioning whether you guys are going to fix this one or not, or continue being childish with your tit-for-tat retaliations. Well, if I can my body, I'm going to do this. My body, I do this. My recommendations is see a therapist or break up, because the way it's looking right now, you guys aren't willing to sit down and have an honest conversation with each other about how you're feeling, why you're feeling this way, and how we're going to fix this one. Although in my belief, if you want a chest tattoo, and it's something that you've always wanted, you should be able to logically say to your girlfriend why you should be allowed to have it, and that she should be accepting of it. Same way that you should be accepting of hair. It's natural, it's the human body, it's what we do. Everyone sucks here. Y'all seem petty as hell. Maybe have actual discussions about things, rather than dropping things like, "I'm not sexually attracted to you anymore," when she initiates sex, or going and getting a tattoo without telling her. You can say that you're not telling her what to do with her body, but when you basically say, "I won't have sex with you if you have body hair," then that is a lot of pressure for her to change. Do I agree with her telling you not to get a tattoo? No. This is why it's an everyone sucks here. She's an a-hole for thinking she can tell you what to do with your body. But you are supposedly adults, and you should discuss these things. And if these discussions reveal that you really can't handle female body hair, and she can't handle tattoos, then call it a day. But don't try and score points against one another, which is what it sounds like you're doing here. So much this. And to add, you both are grown adults. Try at least to live as some, and solve your problems like adults. Talk, and much more importantly, listen to each other. The difference in your choices is, she can, if she wants, shave. Your removal is way more complicated and expensive, and of course your choice is childish. I'm pretty sure you know it. So maybe give her time to cool off, and then initiate talking to each other and keep it open. Because if you go that ballistic over small things, it's better for you both to separate. Everyone sucks here, grow up. And in regards to, and of course, your choice is childish, I'm pretty sure you know it, why is choosing to get a second tattoo, which he's wanted for ages, a childish choice? The only way it would be an issue is if he used her money for it. In terms of the tattoo, the only childish thing is her telling him he's not allowed to get one and saying, "How could you do this to me?" Seeing as it didn't do anything to her. I think by calling it childish, they're pointing out that mirroring her rhetoric, "my body, my choice," when skipping shaving is temporary and easily reversible, and tattoos are permanent and difficult to undo, is minimizing her point by applying it to a substantially different situation, and in a way, turning a disagreement more contentious. I overall agree with your point though. She's out of line for thinking his tattoo was doing something to her and not allowed. I suppose you're right, but I imagine he got fed up with her not allowing it, and this incident was the last straw. It's not like it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. He's wanted one for a long time. And my opinion of this one, it really just doesn't sound like these two are a good fit for each other. That's just based off what he said, and that's a skewed perspective. But as we always see here, when someone shows you their true self, you believe them. Posted by user, another wedding post. Titled, "Am I the a-hole for not allowing my friend to bring her service animal, guide dog, to my wedding? I, 28 female, will be getting married in September. I have a blind friend who mostly relies on her guide dog. The dog obviously has access rights to all places. Now, I'm in a sticky situation, and I can sense that I will be the a-hole. I have 3 chronic illnesses that I take 23 pills a day for, severe asthma, and, you guessed it, an extremely severe dog allergy. Usually, when I meet with my friends, we meet in the open, and I take 2 allergy pills. However, because of all the other medication I take, these pills make me extremely drowsy to the point where I am officially not allowed to drive, and I usually crash as soon as I get home from our get-togethers. Our wedding will be very intimate, i.e., we will be in relatively small rooms. I feel horrible about this, but I don't think I can let my friend bring her dog. It just wouldn't work. I talked about it with my fiancé and some friends. Finally, I talked to my friend about it, explained the situation and said I would love her to come, but she can't bring her dog. I said that 4 of our mutual friends had offered to be on roster and assist her should she need it. Alternatively, if she's not comfortable with this, she could bring a person of her choosing to the wedding, or I'd pay for a professional aid for the day. I think it's important to note that her dog is not for any additional issues like seizures or anything like that. Unfortunately, she was less than happy with my suggestions. She accused me of being ableist and thinking her disability can be switched off for the day. I understand what I asked was a lot, and it is a difficult topic. I told her to tell me if she changes her mind, and I'd be happy to make arrangements, but I won't budge. Alright, OP, I'ma say, you're not the a-hole in this situation. I'd say it's perfectly valid for you to stand your ground. Yes, she's blind, and it can be seen as ableist saying, hey, having a dog in this small enclosed space here is going to put me on the edge of death in some circumstances, and I'd rather not go through that on my wedding day of all days. I'm sure that could be taken as insensitive, but she has given her so many different options on the wedding day of other people that will help and not trigger these reactions to the dog as she already has been. So I would say that the friend is the a-hole for trying to force the dog into the closed environments and ruining the day for OP with her already fragile health conditions. I'm sorry, but OP is not the a-hole. No a-holes here. I was so ready to label you an a-hole after reading the title, but I think you have extenuating circumstances for not wanting a service dog or any other dog at your wedding. I can also understand why your friend would be upset. This probably isn't the first time someone has tried to stop her from bringing her service dog somewhere. I feel the same way. OP may have to just accept the fact that their friend won't attend without their dog, and so won't be able to attend the wedding. On the other hand, the friend does know that OP has a severe allergy, and the pills make her extremely sleepy. I find it a bit inconsiderate of the friend, because both friend and OP can't turn off their disability and health issues off for one day, and OP tried to find a solution, even offering to pay. However, I also understand that it was unpleasant for the friend to hear that, because they probably get that a lot from people who don't understand that their disability isn't something they can turn off. OP is fully aware that it can't be turned off, considering she offered the friend a bunch of alternative options besides bringing her dog. I wonder if OP explained the allergy thing, otherwise I can't see why her friend would be so upset by this. No a-holes here. I think this is just a misunderstanding. Your chronic illnesses and allergies are a disability too. I can understand why your friend would be opposed to going out without a guide she is used to, and I also get that you wouldn't want to be asleep or severely drowsy on your wedding day. I would talk to your friend more and see if any of the solutions you mentioned could work, or see if either of you could come up with more options. I feel bad for both you and your friend. This is a difficult situation. Definitely agree with all your points here. The one thing I take issue with from the friend, though, is her accusation that OP is ableist. I understand that that can come from a place of frustration, but it's unfair to say it regardless, because in this situation, it's completely untrue. Yes, I totally agree. I want to believe that it was said in the heat of the moment, and that she will change her mind when she cools down. But if she genuinely believes that, she would be completely wrong. Definitely agree. I've seen several posts lately detailing events where a friend has called an OP ableist when it's not the case. So I'm definitely a bit more sensitive to it right now than I normally would be. Main reason that particular bit caught my eye. Posted by user throwaway16180339887. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not splitting inheritance with my disowned brother? When I was a college freshman and my brother was a sophomore, he came out as gay, counting on the fact that, for the time, our parents seemed relatively liberal and modern. Well, they were not. They became cold and distant, started engaging only in small talk with him around, and invited him at home only for Christmas and Easter, asking him to not make a big deal out of it with the entire family. He finally decided to confront them over dinner, and they started shouting that he was ungrateful, he wanted to humiliate them in front of anyone, and he left crying. After that, my parents and siblings started behaving like he disappeared for no reason. Anytime me or a cousin would bring up the fact, my parents and their siblings would just pretend he left for no reason, or saying platitudes about forgetting the past without any actual effort to reach out to him or apologize. He is very smart, and right after graduation, found a job as quant in an American multinational company. They recognized his talent, and after a few years, they paid for an MBA in the US. I took a totally different path in life, and now I stayed in academia. It's a job I love, but the salary is quite different. I married the love of my life and had 3 wonderful daughters, whilst my brother and his fiancée are happily child-free. Anyway, here comes the issue. My parents died a few weeks ago and left everything, which sums up to their nice suburb house and holiday home in a nice coastal city, to me. It is not huge money, but enough to pay for my daughter's university if they want to study abroad, which I highly encouraged since, as an insider, I can tell my country public universities are degrading. My brother did not want to come to the funeral, understandably, but I texted him, "When you pass by, feel free to pick up anything you want from our parents' house so we can sell it." He was taken aback, since he took for granted that we split the inheritance. I was taken aback as well, because I never considered that someone who owns 3 houses in New York and 1 in Prague, someone who flies to Chamonix every winter and to Brazil every summer, would start fighting over an inheritance. You'd be surprised what money does to people. He accused me of taking advantage of our parents' bigotry and to pose as a progressive until it does not cost me a dime. I explained it was simply because I need the money to pay for my daughter's education, but I would be happy to give him anything left once they graduate. He then replied that how I paid for my offspring's education was none of his concern. I replied that if he had to be like that, then our parents' decisions are not of my concern. His significant other, whomst I have a very good relationship with him, called me today, saying that he agreed with me about the money, but when I said that I did not care about my parents' decision, my brother took it as, "I don't care they disowned you," and he was deeply hurt by that. I tried to call to apologize, but he won't return my calls. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. Since so many people think I had no relationship with him and I sided with my parents, it's not the case. I kept in touch with him, and up to now we had a very good relationship. We tried to see each other as much as possible. We live in different continents, and we called about once a week. Me and my cousins had big fights with my parents about the way they treated him. I had almost no relationship with my parents because, apart from being homophobic a-holes, they were also very difficult people to be around, and my wife could not suffer them. Edit 2, his fiancée just called me again. He talked my brother out of contacting lawyers, but he is still very ticked. I told Kevin, his fiancée, I understand and I was willing to apologize and discuss this through. I am waiting for a response. Yeah, this is a hard one here. I'd say everyone kind of sucks in this situation. I was saying that OP didn't really suck until it got to this inheritance part, and money changes people. OP could have split the inheritance with him and called it that, but I also see that this is an easy way for OP to secure a future for his kids and get them through college when they need it and get a good education. I also see the hurt that the brother is going through with years of this bigotry just being put on him by his parents. I don't really think that there is a good solution to this one besides getting in contact and hashing it out like they have. The way it stands now, everyone is the a-hole, but I'm glad that OP is going to bridge that gap and contact him. Everyone sucks here, but I think you already knew that. Your brother 100% was not entitled to go to their funeral. Your parents were homophobic and put him down all his life, and obviously stopped giving a crap about him, and it should be on you to make sure he is still given his inheritance. However, as you said, he seems very well off, and from what we know from your post, he doesn't have children he needs to worry about right now. Not saying he automatically deserves it less, but he could probably live without it. To be honest, this seems like a huge misunderstanding, and I completely understand why your brother is so shaken up about it. He was hoping that his parents would show an ounce of love for him that he never had gotten from them, and now he never will. I'm sure it's extremely heartbreaking for him, but you didn't see that side and were only thinking of your kids' futures, as you rightfully should be. I know now you see the error and have tried to apologize, but the best thing you can do is give it time. His husband explained to you the issue, and I'm sure you explained how you misunderstood and how sorry you were, and I'm sure those words will reach your brothers soon. Give him time to process his emotions and grieving, but also make sure he knows your intention was not to hurt his feelings and you were ignorant to the situation. When apologies are done and over, sit down and have an honest discussion with your brother about how you need this money for your kids' futures, and maybe you both can come to an agreement where you both can get what you need. Good luck to you, my friend. Precisely. Personally, I would think that the right thing to do in this situation would be divide the inheritance up as if your brother had not been disowned. If not 50-50, then perhaps 1/5 and 4/5, with the grandkids each getting a share. Why? It's not OP's role or responsibility to compensate for the crappy parenting their parents gave to OP's brother. Even if there was no homophobia involved, what if they left everything to OP? Would you still be telling OP to split it with his brother? I think you're being way too much of a saint, my friend, and that is always easy to do when giving advice to someone else. But when you need the money and your kids can benefit from it, you take what you get. It is not like OP manipulated his parents for that money either. This sub isn't about legal responsibility. He can keep all the money if he wants, but he would still be an a-hole for doing so. And yes, it's even worse since the brother was disowned for being gay. The moral thing would be to include him. Damn, the comments is so split. There's heaps of people saying you're the a-hole, saying not the a-hole, everyone sucks here, no a-holes here. Damn, this is wild. Posted by user GymNerd813, titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my parents money? I'm a 19-year-old female with 6 older siblings. My parents spent most of my childhood spending money they didn't have on my siblings, so by the time I hit my teenage years, I realized I was probably going to have to fend for myself financially when I turn 18. I started babysitting and doing odd jobs around my neighborhood when I was 14, and eventually got part-time jobs during the school year. By the time I was 16, I was working 3 jobs in the summer and 2 in addition to school. When my parents told me they couldn't pay for college, I'd already earned enough, along with scholarships, to be able to put myself through a college and have plenty left over. I've continued to work during the school year and have been able to make money during quarantine by tutoring online. The issue began a few months ago when my eldest sister, 29 female, got married. My parents spent 30 grand on her wedding, taking out a second mortgage to do so. To make matters worse, my dad was furloughed 6 days after the wedding. They'd effectively dug themselves into a hole they couldn't get out of. 2 weeks ago, my mum texted me for the first time since the wedding. She didn't say hi, ask how I was, or make any small talk. She just said, "Your dad and I need a favor. When can we call you?" I'd expected this. None of my elder siblings are doing well financially, and they've exhausted all other loan options, both from family and the bank. I figured they'd text me, ask me to loan them a few thousand, and promise to pay it back when they could figure things out. I was absolutely willing to pitch in a few thousand, and had even considered giving them some of my tutoring jobs so they could make some extra cash. I was not, however, expecting them to demand I give them all the money, close to $40,000, I'd made from the ages of 14 to 18. The exact statement my mum had made was, "You made that money under our roof. We were the ones who allowed you to work, so you only have it because of us anyway. We bought you food and clothes for 18 years. That money is only a fraction of what you owe us," and so on. I said that food, clothes, and shelter were the very minimum. It's what they signed up for when they choose to become parents. I didn't ask for any of it, etc. They responded by telling me that if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have the life I have today. I said they were being ridiculous and hung up. Since that day, both, along with the two of my siblings, have continually hounded me about giving them what is rightfully theirs. My siblings, who have never been asked to give them money, are still professing that it's my job as their kid to take care of them. I told them they wouldn't see a cent of my hard-earned money and have no right to make such a request. I'm torn. I feel awful for refusing them out, but on the other hand, this was their fault. I feel I shouldn't be responsible for fixing their mess. Am I the a-hole? No, you are not the a-hole. They suck for putting themselves in such a hole. It's not that hard to be like, you know what? We're not going to take out a second mortgage. We're not going to give you $30,000 for your wedding. It's your wedding. Here's a small donation that we can afford because we suck at keeping and not spending money. It is not your fault that all these other people are financially illiterate and didn't see what was coming in the future because they weren't aware of their own circumstances. That's on them, OP. That's not your fault. Limit contact with them if you have to, because money changes people, and look what happens when they see that you're making all this money and they're not doing as well as you. OP, I don't blame you. Keep on doing what you're doing. You're not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Their poor financial choices are not your fault or your problem, speaking purely based on you being a separate person. The fact that they expect this from their own child is downright disgusting. I'm so sorry that you're being put through this. Their poor financial choices are not your fault or problem. Who the hell takes out a second mortgage just to finance a wedding? They dig themselves into debt for one child and expect the only one that seems to have made something of themselves to dig them out? Not the a-hole. Just cut them out completely. And cut out any family agreeing with them too. You are fiscally responsible, OP. If you give them money, they'll waste it. Not the a-hole. Exactly this, not the a-hole. They have proven that they are not smart when it comes to money, and the fact is that you have fended for yourself most of your life, and they didn't help you money-wise. So why help them? Demanding the money, I think, is the most irritating, and some of your siblings pressuring you to give them money? Ugh. If they want their parents to have money so bad, why don't they give them money themselves instead of asking you? Right? If anyone owes them, it's the sibling who just got married. Maybe OP can help her parents out, but it can't be all on her. The unfair entitlement here is mind-boggling. Okay, first off, even if they had gone above and beyond for you in your childhood, and also paid your way through college, you wouldn't be the a-hole for refusing to give them money. Parents caring for their kids financially is what parents do. It's not something that needs to be made up once you've grown. If that were the case, then it seems to me your siblings have a lot of paying back to do. You're not the a-hole, and don't let them hound you until you give in, because they'll end up milking you dry and putting you in the same situation as them and your siblings. Not the a-hole, I'm trying to figure out why they put themselves in a hole because of a wedding, and then how is it your responsibility to bail them out? Imagine the kind of crappy parents you need to be to take out a second mortgage on your house for one kid, but then demand the other pay you back for being born/raised. God, it really makes you think, doesn't it? It really just makes you think. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you've had a good day, night, sleep, whatever you've been up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and say hi to outro Markee for me. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one today. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would love you to subscribe because I love your face and I love seeing you here every single day that you are here in this video. I don't know what else to say today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. I do have a second channel that's called Markee 2. Link should be up on the screen somewhere here if you don't have adblock installed. If you don't know where to find the channel, you can go to my main page. Just click on the Markee face and it should be on the right somewhere there, or on channels if you're on phone. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.